I'm just going to start naming people. Beth, Anne, Brock, Aiden, Rich, Emma, Dustin, Fenoose, Gabby, Gabe, Tim, Olivia, Pia, Katie, somebody I don't know, Tati, 2 more people I don't know. Anne says we're starting in 1 minute.
Everybody, I want to welcome you to our 3rd annual presidential debate tonight, hosted by myself and Aiden Ryan. And I'm the outgoing president for the Undergraduate Student Association. Thank you. So tonight we're going to be hearing from the candidates for Vice President of Programming, Vice President of Business and Finance, and the Executive Vice President. And we also have we have 2 candidates for VP of Communications, but I don't think we have their information. We do? Okay.
So after the candidates for the Vice President positions finish their opening statements, the presidents will then deliver the presidential candidates will deliver their opening statements. And the field is full this year, which means the time is an issue. And Brock and I are of like mind that if we catch even the barest hint of obfuscation, elision, or mendacity, we will cut you off.
In simpler words, if I don't like what they're saying, then I'm going to ask them to rephrase that.
Voting then after this will take place on Collegiate Wing, beginning March 10th, and that will close on March 13th before the final announcement.
All right, and if we can get the videos for the VP of Communications, that would be appropriate.
We'll start with this video from Kristen Warner, who can't be here tonight. She's on an internship in Florida.
My name is Kristen Warner, and I am running for Vice President for Communications. I have a double major in Digital Media Arts and Communication Studies. Right now, I am participating in the Disney College program in Orlando, Florida. I believe that the current positions I hold, as well as my past positions, have prepared me to be a Vice President for Communication. The best way to communicate with the Canisius community is to be exposed to different clubs around campus, and I excel in this area. My current student involvement is Vice President of RHA, Public Relations Chair for SPB, Public Relations Chair for The Wire, Graphic Designer and Advertising Director for The Griffin, and Cooking Club member. One of the popular responses that I've been getting when people find out that I'm running for this position is the classic Mean Girls quote, "She doesn't even go here." I am at a leave of absence, but I managed to still be a member of the Griffin. I'm the advertising director, which brings in the money, which we all know is very important at this time of the year. Yes, Eden, that's a joke. You can laugh. It's okay. I also help every now and then the wonderful Kristen Truman for Mr. Canisius, and actually had time while I was down here to design the Mr. Canisius logo. And on top of that, I was able to design the graphics for Emma Carberry and for my own campaign. So yes, I don't even technically go to Canisius, yet I designed all these things, and I'm still actively involved on campus, even though I'm 1,000 miles away. So with that, just imagine how much I can do next year when I actually am on campus. Some of the basic duties as Vice President for Communication is basically a secretary extraordinary. You know, you take notes, you make sure everyone's on the same page, make sure everyone is actively involved in the committees. Everything you come up with in the committees, you have to have great communication through it. Make sure everyone's on the same page. And with Mr. Canisius alone and through RHA, we have committees, we have subcommittees, and Mr. Canisius is a huge event. I learned how to communicate a lot better and make sure everyone knows what's going on. And not only what's going on, make sure that in the club itself, but also outside the club. Because what is that hard work that you're doing for this event? You spend so much time in the planning, that much time needs to go into advertising. And as being public relations chair for Student Programming Board, I took it one step further this year by making videos. Not only making flyers, but the videos I made went on Griffin TV. Fall Fest was a huge hit. As far as references go, my boss right now is currently very busy, but if you want to talk to him, he's always willing to lend some ears and talk to anyone that has any questions. And if you want to talk to me, or have any questions, just email me at warner17@canisius.edu and have a magical day.
I'd like to thank Kristen Warner for her presentation there. And now I'd like to welcome up the second candidate for VP of Communications, Earius Mccloud, up here to give his introduction.
Hi, how's everyone doing today? Well, I'm Earius Mccloud. I believe I met most of you or seen you in the hallways. So the question that came to me when I'm running for this position is, what do you do? Who are you? Well, let's start there. I obviously am graduating class of 2015. I am a Urban Leadership Learning Community Scholarship awarded. So that means I'm basically an academic kid. I am the vice president of the Mixed Martial Arts Club on campus, which was a struggling club if anyone knows about it. We're building up, and it's a building process. Through that, I handle budget, I order, set up events, practices, not really events yet. We're still working our way towards, what else am I? One second, I love you all though. I also am part of Project Conservation, Go Green. We do things like promote recycling, all that type of stuff. And as far as communication major, I work with Kaleidoscope. If you don't know what Kaleidoscope is, it's a religious TV show that comes on the first of the month on Channel 2 and like 4 a.m. It's actually produced on campus in the green room if you've never heard of it. Through that, I've worked with various people throughout our community, such as Stan Bratton, Dr. Stan Bratton. So I have went all around Buffalo interviewing. I've even been the Devil's Hole in Iron Falls. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's kind of dangerous. Filming and furthering my craft. If you ever get a chance, of course, check out those videos. And, through my Urban Leadership Learning Community Scholarship, I have met with investors, so I know how to talk about money. I know that may sound shallow, but that's what this job is. I have to talk to people who will decide our future. I've talked to people who donate millions, thousands of dollars to help continue my program. So if I can do that for 10 people, imagine I can do for a whole undergraduate student association. And what separates me, I'm very outgoing, I'm straightforward, and I'm friendly, but I'm not over-friendly. I'm not scared to say what's on my mind. And this job will require me to say some things that everybody won't agree with, but sometimes things need to be said. And I'm simply involved. You got the hint from everything I'm doing. I'm pretty sure if you know me, you know I'm very humorous, but don't let that fool you. In a occupation or any form of job, I always perform well and beyond my peers. Thank you.
Thank you, Earius. And now we're going to move on to the Executive Vice President candidates, which is Megan Zickl, Elias, Ayub, Alex, Valo. And I would like them all to come up at once. And we are going to start with Megan Zickl.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really excited to be here tonight to tell you all why I want to be the next Executive Vice President for the undergraduate student body. First of all, I love Canisius. I love all that it does for us, and I'm truly dedicated to making it an even better place for students to live, learn, and thrive. I am very passionate about providing the best possible opportunities for the student body here in all aspects of collegiate life, and I believe that if elected into office, I can make changes to expand these opportunities for students. More specifically, as Executive Vice President, I would like to make the Senate itself more accessible to the general student body. Currently, to a lot of students, Senate seems like a very exclusive, selective governing body. This is not what we are, and students deserve to know that. There is a lot that Senate can do for students, and one of my goals is to ensure that students know that. This is something my campaign is centered around, opening up the Senate so that all students have equal access to it. This will enhance the Senate's transparency on campus, which is very important because it allows everyone to know and take part in what is going on. I plan to do this at first in very simple ways, like making the Senate minutes available online, encouraging students to attend Senate meetings, and implementing a system so that general student concerns voiced during Senate meetings can be addressed in a timely manner. Another significant part of my campaign platform is collaboration, which is incredibly crucial in running a cohesive and stable student government here on campus. This is something that, if elected, I can guarantee will be part of the protocol for the way things are done on campus. There have been many issues just this semester with a lack of information between clubs and the Senate, along with issues of program scheduling conflicts. This will not be the way things are done. Information will be given out, meetings with the concerned individuals will be held, ideas will be discussed, and plans and solutions will be made. This is the best way for us to move forward, and that's exactly what I plan to do. I know that these seem like high and lofty goals, but I assure you that I have the drive and experience necessary to make all of the previously stated a reality. My experience includes being an elected senator for the past 2 years, along with being on 2 clubs' executive boards right now. I am the treasurer of Project Conservation, and I am the social coordinator of International Affairs Society. Finally, I am a member of both Sustainability Committee and Diversity Committee here on campus. I have the experience necessary to understand the office I am hoping to be elected into after having been on Senate for the past 2 years. I have been wowed by the rest of the student body, by Anthony Croce's fantastic work as EVP, and I am very eager to continue leading the student body forward. My extensive club experience provides me with the knowledge of understanding how things actually work here on campus. Because of my role on executive boards of clubs, I know how to organize meetings and events, cooperate with various individuals, and at the end of the day, get the job done. These are all essential skills for the next executive vice president to have. I'm very qualified for this position, and I'm very passionate and excited about running for EVP. If elected, I will dedicate myself entirely to making the student experience at Canisius the most fulfilling that it can be. I hope to be elected into this office because I believe that I can do the very best job of serving and representing the student body of Canisius College. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayub, and I am currently running for the position of Executive Vice President. So basically I would like to speak to you, my fellow engaged students, about how I think Senate is perceived in the community and how I'd like to change that. So basically, I don't think anyone, well, a majority of the students really know or care about what goes on in Senate and what we decide. And I see that as a huge problem because we, after all, are the direct voice from students to administration, as well as we manage a $1.2 million budget, which we allocate based on club interest and student desire. So we do a lot on campus, and I would really like to change the way we're perceived. So to remedy this, I've come up with a 2-part plan. So the first step of this plan, I'm not going to get bogged down in, it's a lot of Senate minutia, but I would like to just streamline the way things are done. This is setting clear standards of expectation, as well as a full year schedule at the beginning of the year. How this really affects students, though, is that the budget and appeals process will be much more understandable, and there will be goals and expectations at the beginning of the year. So appeals are based on funding debates rather than clubs scrabbling for documentation. But part 2 is really the main part of my plan. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. Part 2 is about getting Senate to be more involved in the Canisius community. So step 1 of this is to have senators there for orientation week. Not as OLs, but as senators. because the way the system is set up is that RAs and OLs field all of freshmen's concerns and input on the campus, and I think that senators, as the voice of the undergraduate population to administration, should field those concerns. So from day one, I'd like to see Senate as a service to the community, rather than an interest group that if you want to get involved, you join. So that's number one. Number two is transparency. Everyone's going to be talking about transparency tonight. Here's how I'm going to deal with it. I'd like to see our agenda published and readable days in advance. You could access it on my Canisius, and it'll be also posted on the door of the Senate room, the Senate Club room, and the Student Center, with a Dropbox for student opinion, student concern. It's something simple and pragmatic, and it will really increase our transparency on campus. To go along with this is this third step of my plan, and that is a Senate Outreach Committee. This is a new Senate committee, and it'll be rotational, so there'll be 2 senators from each class. And they will be tasked, and it'll change every month, the senators, but they'll be tasked to go out to the busy places on campus and go to the commuter lounges and the libraries and Tim Hortons and solicit general student opinion and concerns about what Senate does, what Senate's talking about, and what they'd like to see out of their student government. So rather than go into more detail on my plan, I'd like to address the concern on all of your minds tonight. Why would you vote for a freshman? And I'd answer that with, I've been in Senate long enough to understand how it works, but not long enough to become complacent and limit my expectations of what we can do as a collective body. So I really care about Senate. I really care about all the fellow students at Canisius. I care about the school as a whole. So I'm doing this because I love this, and I'd encourage you, if you have any questions, any input, any debate about my plan, to come up to me in the hallways or shoot me an email and talk to me about it. Thank you guys for your time.
Hey everybody, my name is Valo, and I'm running for Executive Vice President of the Undergraduate Student Association. If elected EVP, I would like to make Senate a more approachable, transparent, and fair governing body. To achieve this goal, I've developed a 5-part platform. 2 major portions of this platform are greater outreach and greater transparency. I think the Senate is currently out of touch with the student body. Very few seem to know what actually goes on during Senate meetings. I would like to change this by working with the VP of Communications to develop a newsletter sent via email or perhaps published in the Griffin that recaps the previous meeting and includes senator profiles, as well as create press releases following major budget decisions. I would also like to have greater student input before major decisions, for example, the use of student tax dollars to purchase NFTA passes. This greater input can be achieved through polls released to students before these decisions are made. I'd also strongly encourage senators to have discussions with a number of their constituents on a weekly basis. The other parts of my platform include greater productivity, various election reforms, and continued improvement and evaluation of club rooms. To view my platform in its entirety, I strongly encourage you to visit usa.canisiusgriffin.com. I think that I have the experience and dedication that is required to serve as EVP. I commute 35 minutes a day from East Aurora, however, I am still heavily involved on campus. In addition to being a senator since my freshman year, I'm an orientation leader, a Springfest co-chair, I sit on Intercollegiate Athletics Board, and just yesterday I was appointed a co-chair for the 2015 National Jesuit Student Leadership Conference, a conference that, along with Ann Continetti and Anthony Croze, I helped bring to Canisius. If I'm elected EVP, I believe that I can help transform Senate into the voice of the student body that it is supposed to be. Thank you, and enjoy the debate.
Thank you for your introductions, and all 3 of you are very excellent candidates. Ms. Zickl, Mr. Ayub, and Mr. Valo. Now I'd like to bring up, the candidates for Vice President of Programming, Dustin, Radka, and Emma Carberry. Please.
Hi everyone, my name is Dustin Radka, and I'm running for Vice President of Programming. 2 very well-equipped students have stepped forward for the position of Vice President of Programming. Though we share very similar ideas and goals for this position, I see myself as the better candidate based on my background and perspective. A major goal of mine is to have more club involvement with the Student Programming Board, so we can help cater to each club's specific mission. I see my background in many diverse clubs and as a resource to gauge my views as how to help them for the best. Being a part of the American Chemical Society, Commuter Student Association, lead team, and having a minor in classics has given me participation in small clubs and able to see small clubs that lack the ability to program for themselves effectively. I also feel that the bond between SPB and other clubs has faded and needs to be rebuilt. In reconstructing this bond, a new and fresh face needs to be in place. With new ideas and no pressures from previous standards of events, I feel I can make the decisions and changes that are necessary to reform the bond that has been breaking from previous years. Smaller clubs need the resources that SPB has to offer. Planning, advertising, and execution of events that would make all programmed events memorable to all Canisius students, because we are the Student Programming Board. Since we are for the students, the lack of student involvement in SPB needs to be addressed. With only a small selection of students in the club, it is not a fair representation of the student body. Once again, I go to my diverse background of my major and clubs that I'm involved with to add to my strengths for this VP position. Bringing and implementing new ideas to attract and maintain membership is another goal I would deal with if I were to take office. The modernization of current SPB events is important to attraction of new students and campus-wide appeal. By observing the processes of creating new events, but not being indirectly involved in coordination myself, it has given me the insight in how things are done, and enough distance to know firsthand the student reaction to each event. This gives me a perfect balance of internal and external knowledge to program bigger, better, and more successful events. Myself and the other potential vice president of programming have similar platforms, but it will be the potential execution that will set us apart. In that respect, I believe I am the more qualified candidate because I will be able to serve the students in a more effective and efficient way. The potential for SPB is ever-changing, and myself, not being held back by tradition, I can give SPB the change it needs in the transition for the times of the changing times. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Carberry. I'm also running for VP of Programming. Just to give you a little bit of history of my involvement on campus, my freshman year, I'll be the first to admit I was not involved in much of anything other than Netflix. But I think that this gives me a really interesting perspective on what it's like to be a freshman on this campus who really isn't involved and might want to be but doesn't know how to. And then my sophomore year, I got involved in the Student Programming Board, which is one of the best things that I've ever done on this campus. And I loved programming so much that I decided to run for an e-board position, and I was fortunate enough to have earned the position of event coordinator for this year. And under that title, I have been able to program the Price is Right event during orientation week. I also did the London Theft concert last week. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. And then I'll actually be programming a pajama party GAD in April, so you have that to look forward to. But another really exciting opportunity that I had this semester, this year in general, was to take on what a lot of people saw as a lackluster program, which was Canisius Cinema, which is USA's program, and rebrand that as Grifflix, which is a program that I'm now the director of, and I'm very proud of that program. And with all the programming that I've done this year, I have learned what it can really do for a college campus. And the reason I'm running for VP of Programming is because I want to bring bigger and better programming to this campus. So with that, let me go into my platform a little bit. My platform has 3 prongs. The first one is student outreach, the second is retention and engagement, and the third is club cooperation. Student outreach is the first, and that's really important to me because I feel like any e-board position of any club on campus really needs to be in touch with the students of this campus and know what their students want. We are running for e-board positions for the Undergraduate Student Association, and I think the most important thing is to have the undergraduate students in mind. So as VP of Programming, I would want to get opinions of the student body. I would want to dorm storm. I would want to approach people and say, what are we lacking in programming on this campus that you want to see? And I really want to bring what people want to this campus. I want everyone on this campus to be able to get excited about at least one event. I want residents to feel like there's events for them, commuters to feel like there's events for them, athletes to feel like there's events for them, and I want all of these events to bring all of those groups of people together. The second part is retention and engagement. Obviously, freshman retention is a huge issue on this campus right now, and I think where we're missing the mark a little bit is that we're not programming to help freshmen bond with Canisius. And as a student leader, that's very disheartening because I love Canisius and I want other people to feel that way too. So I feel like maybe changing orientation week programming, like the Price is Right now, where we're not really getting students talking to one another and engaging with one another and engaging with the college. Maybe make an event for that week that'll get students in a relationship with Canisius and really get them to form that bond that is so important in the Canisius community. And then another thing is engagement with upperclassmen who are kind of maybe disenchanted with Canisius and have that same problem, where maybe they're just staying at the school because they want to finish out a major or they have a strong relationship with their professor, but really aren't in it for anything other than the academics. And I want to bring back that pride in Canisius, and I want people to be proud of going to Canisius, and I think we can do that through programming. And the third part is club cooperation. And I think that it's super important that every club on this campus have the same opportunity to program. Obviously, Student Programming Board puts on some of the biggest events on campus. We get some of the best attendance. And unfortunately, smaller clubs sometimes do get forgotten. And I think that it's really important that those clubs have that opportunity. And one of the biggest issues in this, I think, is co-sponsorship needs to happen more. Bigger clubs need to help out smaller clubs. And it's not even just the money aspect of co-sponsorship, but I think that as VP of Programming, I would want to see SPB used as a resource for smaller clubs to help them program, to maybe sit down with clubs and say, hey, your idea for your program is amazing. We have programmed similar things before, or different things that we have vendors for, we have resources for, we know how to develop a program, we know how to execute it, and if you want our help, that's what we're here for. And I really want to make SPB that transparent body for other smaller clubs on campus. And I think that I've kind of showed how important club cooperation is to me already by implementing the club-run concession stand at Grifflix, which is a very fulfilling, I think, addition to that, in that I'm bringing other clubs into an event and giving them the opportunity to promote themselves, and I think that that's really important. And then finally, I just want to leave you guys with this. Programming is something that I'm very passionate about, and honestly, one of my favorite parts about programming for this campus is when I'm at one of my events and I take a step back and look at all of the fun that the students are having, and I'm able to see that this is why I program, and that's why I want to keep doing this for you guys. So I just want to remind you, my name is Emma Carberry. Barry does it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carberry and Mr. Radka. Next, we will be going into the VP of Business and Finance candidates, starting with Mr. Rich Kubiak, Mr. Steve Kawalerski, and then Mr. Dylan Ruda. You may now clap.
Good evening, everyone. As Brock said, my name is Rich Kubiak. I'm a sophomore here at Canisius College, and I'm running for Senate Vice President for Business and Finance. I'm a double major in Economics and Finance, and I currently serve as an Undergraduate Student Association Senator, as well as representative on the Finance Committee. I am also the current Vice President for Phi Alpha Delta here at Canisius. It's the mock trial, or the pre-law fraternity, as well as a participant on the mock trial team and a member of Can-Do Society, which is an entrepreneurial-based organization here at Canisius. If elected, I will apply the same passion, dedication, and responsibility that allows for continued success and accomplishment in those clubs to the position of Vice President for Business and Finance. Now, that may sound familiar to many of you. Around this time last year, I said something very similar as a freshman who was running for Vice President for Business and Finance. My passion to seek real change over this last year has not changed. However, my vision on how to implement such changes has become increasingly clear. I want to simply make the overwhelming budget process faster by, well, approximately 15% or so. First, I will implement a new cloud-based budget system for clubs. This means no more dealing with complicated Excel documents, no more being thrown a template with little guidance. Clubs will now be able to log in to submit a budget through a form that is specifically tailored to them. Then I am going to release a budget process timeline for the entire 2014-2015 academic year. The timeline will allow clubs and their leaders to know exactly when budgets are due. No surprises. Furthermore, it makes it easier for students and clubs to hold me accountable for deadlines that I have proposed. Wouldn't it be nice to have an outline of exactly when everything is going to be due? Next, I'm going to restructure the entire budget finance side of things. I'm going to make sure that from the Finance Committee perspective, things are run in an efficient fashion. That way we can get budgets back to clubs sooner. Following that, I'm going to more clearly publish Finance Committee protocol so nobody has any questions about why they were allocated the amounts they were allocated. This allows for Senate members and club leaders to understand the reasoning behind their allocation amounts. No one should be left in the dark with why they got the certain amount that they did. Overall, know that communication is one of my keys. I want to make sure that students know that I'm willing to be flexible and open to discussion on any budget issue, whether it's an initial appeal or a secondary appeal. The goals I have listed here are just the beginning to my outline. If you have any additional comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out to me. The sooner we communicate, the sooner we can make real change at Canisius happen. I'm excited about the opportunity to change the Vice President for Business and Finance position by making it run more efficiently and smoothly for students here at Canisius. Vote for real progression for the 2014-2015 year. Vote for Rich Kubiak for Vice President for Business and Finance. Thank you all.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome for coming out to this debate. I appreciate everybody's attendance here. First off, I'd like to tip my invisible hat to the outgoing VP for Business and Finance, VP Carlo, who has done a wonderful job this semester. And I'll just get into a little bit about myself and who I am. My name is Kawalerski. I am a double major in accounting and accounting information systems. And I am very involved on the student around this campus. I am the liaison for the International Affairs Society. I'm a member of the Accounting Society. I'm also a member of the Commuter Student Association. And I'm currently also a sophomore senator under the Undergraduate Student Association. And despite being a commuter, I think I've stayed very involved. Most of you who know me often see me here until maybe 9 o'clock at night, so I'm almost a resident. It's just that I don't have a room to stay in. And I attend many club events. Again, I consider myself very involved. The clubs, along with my open personality, makes me very easy to talk to, very comfortable to approach. And along with this position, I encourage you to approach me about any issues, about your budgets, about your appeals. I want you to come up and talk to me about it. I have no issue with talking to anybody. As far as my platform goes, yes, I want to make it more efficient. Yes, I want to make everything quicker. I think that comes along with the job, wanting to improve everything. But along with that, I want to allocate funds and create budgets based more on the history and activity of clubs. I think now some of the funds are allocated inappropriately. I want to allocate it based on their activity. I think that this will encourage more clubs to get involved on campus, and that's what we need as the student body. And besides that, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I wish to see a number record of votes this year go out on Collegiate Link from the 10th to 13th, and I am counting on all of you to go vote for Steve Kawalerski and make the right choice for VP for Business and Finance. Thank you.
Ruda. I'm a junior here. I'm also running for VP of Business and Finance. I'm a finance and economics dual major as well, along with Rich. My history with Senate is extensive. I've been on the Senate since my freshman year, along with the Finance Committee, so I have a lot of experience there. I did dabble a little bit with other clubs in the beginning. I did some volunteering with Circle K back when GGB was called Circle K, and a very, very short stint with SIFE, but it really wasn't for me. My true passion was in the student government, serving others and making our whole campus in general run smoothly. Let me talk a little bit about my platform. The first thing I want to stress is collaboration. I know budget process is very hard for a lot of e-board members on various clubs, and if I'm elected, the first thing I will do at the end of the semester is hold a workshop to walk anyone who needs help through the budget process, show them all the forms, and have step-by-step instructions on what to do and how to get through the budget process the first time, so we can make our appeal process smaller and smaller with each semester. Another thing is approachability. I'm always available. We all have phones, email, text messaging, walking into my office. I'm always there to help anyone who needs anything, whether it be with the budget process or if you're just having a bad day. Let's see. Another thing I want to touch on is reform and transparency. I know a lot of club leaders complain about the descriptions from the budget packets they receive. They just get a solid number and they don't know what we decided to cut until they get in contact with the current VP and really find out what the finance committee and the student government didn't want to fund them for. So one of my first initiatives as well will be more descriptive budget packets at the leadership conference and obviously the second semester. I know early events are very important and crucial to getting freshmen involved and in love with our campus. I want to be able to release partial budgets just, from the first day of classes up until the leadership conference. So clubs know exactly what money they have to spend on those initial barbecues, the rush weeks for Greek life, and other events that get the freshmen involved right off the bat. Because we all know early involvement means retention for our school, and retention is always good. Another thing I want to touch on is the appeals process. Right now, for those of you who don't know, if you're appealing for more money from the finance committee, you would send a representative to come in and talk to us, and that person would then leave, and then the finance committee would have a discussion and decide what should be cut and what should stay for that appeal. I want to keep the members of that club in there to be a part of the conversation, and that way they can bring up more points that might have been missed in the prior discussion, and just the finance committee doesn't really say what they want to say, I believe, when the club members are there. So if they're there the whole time, the true problems they have can be raised, and the root of the need for the funding can be found. As I said before, I'm really experienced in the finance committee. I've got to witness 3 wonderful VPs before me, and Steve mentioned Daniela sitting right here. Great person, but I also seen the things that work and work great, and some things that just don't work out. So I can take the best and stay away from the worst of what the people before me have done. I know the finance committee has a lot of standards for T-shirts, for initial parties, for bringing students in, and I want to wipe those standards clean because they've been there since I've started here 3 years ago, and the cost of goods and the cost of food, the cost of everything has gone up. So new standards need to be put in place to make funding and better programming an attainable goal. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, the capital expenditures over the past 2 years. Brian Almendinger allowed for improvements in the student center basement, and now Danielle and Brock are doing the fitness center. 2 things which are great and I completely support, but I want to really push for that money that we have to go into the things we want to do as a whole. And I will promise you, if elected, I will conduct extensive research on what the people really want of our school to use that money for. And in conclusion, I'm a great and dedicated candidate. Through proper collaboration, policy change, and financial freedom, we can make the events here on campus a striving success.
All right, now it's time to move on to the presidential candidates, and we're going to do one at a time. And also for the introductions, we'll try and be short because you guys have all night.
Okay, so this is a little unusual, but our first candidate, Neil Savoy, many of you know, is currently studying abroad in Spain. So I'm going to Skype him now. So he can talk to you all. One second. Here's what I'm gonna do.
Hello?
Neil, keep it short. You have all night.
Yeah, I do. Is it my turn? This is my 3 minutes. Okay. Hi, everyone. First off, I just want to say I miss all of you a whole lot. I miss Canisius so much. I hope you've been having a great year, and I'm really excited to get back and get involved again and be working with everyone again. I'm going to cut right to the chase because for my presidency, really what I want to do is give you all here at Canisius the change that you've all been asking for a while now. There are 5 main points to my platform that I'll be working on. Namely, the first will be that I want to further the power and role of the Council of Presidents. I want to improve the image of the Undergraduate Student Association. I want to continue to work with programming. Fourthly, cultivate school spirit. And fifth, better the lives of leaders. In all these areas, I have concrete plans that I work towards to see these things happen. To further the role and power of the Council of Presidents, I would like to see the power over basic budget and public institutions move from USA to the Council of Presidents. And that way, public leaders can then make the decisions about budgets and the creation of new clubs, since those matters directly affect the groups. And who better to oversee that sort of those who better to oversee that than the public themselves? Secondarily, that if you would think on having to focus on those things, they can focus more on the society administration. To improve the image of the Undergraduate Student Association, I would want to focus on transparency. I can say that in the last 2 years I've been in the Undergraduate Student Association, and I really did it because I've been so involved. To be brutally honest, during my year abroad, it's much more difficult to know what's going on with the organization. Most of what I hear about what's going on is through a secondary source, like Kristen or via Facebook. I'd like to see the creation of a website to let students know how issues are developing within the organization, what we're currently working on, what we've been working on, and how far it's come along, and where we plan to go in the future. As well as that, I'd like to see bigger involvement in the entire student body expressing their student concerns. That can be as easy as having RA directly contact their floors and inviting perhaps a floor meeting, have an RA collect complaints from their residents, and then on that meeting. As much as we want students to come to the meeting, we have to reach out to them. To continue to work with programming, we've been seeing that programming has continued to develop in wonderful ways this year, and I'd like to see that continue. Students want bigger events, and they want events that everyone enjoy, and I want to help see that happen. Another thing too is that I'd like to see events that are promoting sporting events, which would then help cultivate school spirit. I think this year you've seen great development in Zickl, and the students are taking pride in their school. And that's a wonderful thing, and I want to continue to develop there, especially for next year's freshmen, to continue to develop greater pride in the culture of Canisius. And then to better the lives of commuters, I've been a commuter my entire time at Canisius. I understand that can be very difficult at times. Canisius was founded as a commuter school, and it doesn't serve its commuters as well as it should be. Facilities are not as open to commuters as they are to residents, some for obvious reasons, there's necessarily not so much. Something like having a live 24/7 access would give commuters a place to continue to work on campus without feeling that they are booted. So those are my main 5 points, and I can elaborate on them further. And thank you. I miss you all again. And Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Savoy. Next, we will have Mr. John Solak come up to the stage. Give him a warm welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend the cordialities of the Undergraduate Student Association to everyone in attendance in the Montante Cultural Center here tonight. As you've just heard, my name is John Solak. Some of you in the audience may know me from my cadetship in the Army ROTC program. Others may know me from my lectures as a tutor of anatomy and physiology. And yes, others of you may know me for my auspicious posters around campus. If you don't, however, know who I am, please allow me to elaborate. I am pursuing a biology degree with a minor in neuroscience with the intention of pursuing the field of interventional neurosurgery. Yes, to clarify, we have a science major running for president of Canisius College. Thank you. So, what, might you ask, can a science major do for Canisius? I'd like to begin with the fundamental principle of biology: form fits function. From this perspective, you might ask, why do we stand behind podiums? When, after all, you're more effective directly in front of your audience. Now, I'd not only like to demonstrate my analytical capacity by doing this, but I'd also like to show I'm not afraid to step out of my comfort zones, to remove myself from the traditional ways of doing things, and ultimately show that I'm not afraid to change the paradigms of the ways things are done. I think that, as president, that can definitely carry over, because I would be willing to change something that's not right, and ultimately do what the students want. I think this is just one of my many traits that would make me a great candidate. However, for the sake of consistency, I'll refrain from dynamic oration for the rest of the debate. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Solak. Next, we will have Sydnie Perkins come up to the stage.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Sydnie Perkins, and if elected president, I have a red plan: retention, expansion, and diamond. I plan to retain our student body through Senate involvement. Just like Elias said with the Senate outreach program, I think that's amazing. I think senators should be walking through Old Main, walking through the tunnels, walking through the dorms, walking through the dorms, and getting students' opinion on certain matters and how they feel about their experience at Canisius. I also plan to retain student members at Canisius through academics. Students should know our rank in Canisius and how Canisius ranks through to other colleges, and see how they can better themselves to make Canisius a better school. I feel if students are more involved in their school, they will be more amped to get involved in their school, to get involved in clubs. Thirdly, with retention, I plan to get students more involved in athletics. Going down to the Harbor Center would be amazing for students to get really rallied up before we go down to the Harbor Center. And I'm sorry, Neil. And to just have a great time and just have a really great school spirit, everyone there together, everyone having a great time, cheering on our Griffins all the time, everyone together. So that's retention. Expansion. I plan to make Canisius more of a Buffalo college. I feel like Canisius right now is kind of a really, like Buffalo is always really proud of Canisius, but I feel like Canisius can do a lot better, the Buffalo community. I feel like community service can definitely be improved through club involvement. Clubs should be kind of mandated to have at least one community service, community builder with their club at least once per semester. So they all work together. They get to see Buffalo. Buffalo gets to see Canisius. They get to learn about all the different clubs we have. That helps with people coming into Canisius. That was a lot of different things. And then finally, dining, because I know we're short on time, is I really plan on bringing a Chipotle to campus. I've done the research, guys. It looks pretty great. I'll tell you more about that during the debate. I'm not really a Chipotle fan, but I guess you guys like it a lot, so that seems pretty cool. Secondly, with dining, I want to bring a smoothie / sandwich place at the CAC for athletes, so they can get like a protein shake and a sandwich, an apple, whatever you guys like to eat. And then a late night place, because I know people are complaining about not being able to get a bite to eat later in the evening and just being hungry, and Iggy's is kind of a little too greasy. And just something that people can just take back to their dorm or with their friends. And that's all. Thank you, and enjoy the debate.
Next we'll have Joe Rutigliano. Come up, please.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. As you heard, my name is Joe Rutigliano. I'm the president of C Block currently. If you go to any basketball games, hockey games, there's some soccer games in there. I don't look as composed as I do now. Please look beyond that. I'm here for a couple of reasons. I've been following Senate for the last 2.5 years that I've been going to school here. And I think that we could do some things a little differently. They're not bad and they're not wrong. But I think that there's some things that would help our campus become a better place. My kind of campaign slogan has been create a community that we all want to be a part of and that we can be proud of. And I know that I talked to some people yesterday at the Afro Society, and someone said something quite troubling to me. They said, you know, I just want to leave. The only thing I want from Canisius is to get my degree. And I can understand that frustration. A lot of upperclassmen, leave Canisius and are absolutely pleased with the way that their 4 years went. But they're not ecstatic, and they're not me at some basketball games when we make a big bucket. And I'd like to change that. I think that that's one of the biggest things here. And I've got a little bit of a plan, and I think that it's the way to go. I'm not saying that it doesn't need some tweaks here and there, and I'm not saying that I know what's right, because I don't all the time. However, I think through Senate outreach, transparency, and improved programming, that we can create a community that everybody wants to be a part of, and that is contagious, that people want to be on campus. We've had quite a low, just retention rate for students remaining in campus housing, and that's something we need to change. I've lived on campus the entire 3 years. I'll live on campus next year, and I think that in the end, one of the things that we lack is, the community within the dorms, and that's something that you look at other schools, you look at the big schools, you look at even down the road at Buff State, they have that there. And that's something that we need to bring to Canisius. And I'm sure I'll get into my plan a little bit over the next couple of minutes here, but remember that the reason why you came here, I came here because I liked the atmosphere. I thought that this was a great place to come to school, and I still believe that. But remember that while we are students here, we are creating the community that we live in, whether we like it or not. So I challenge you tonight, whether you vote for me or not, to go back and create that community that you want to be a part of. Thanks.
All right, before I invite the last candidate out, could I get Mr. Savoy back on the screen? I just think it'd be appropriate considering all the other candidates. And now I'd like to invite Andy Pewlinski to the stage.
it's all right with all of you, I'm going to talk from back here. I don't know if I can fit between this here and the table. I don't know if I can squeeze myself through. So if that's all right with you guys, I'll go from here. Good evening. My name is Pewlinski, and I want to be your student body president. I want to represent you because the students of Canisius College deserve a leader. A leader that has experience to affect real change on campus. A leader that will stand by your opinion no matter what. And finally, a leader that you can trust. Currently, Canisius College is at a crossroad. Services to students are suffering. Programming on campus is no longer attracting students. And student engagement is hitting all-time lows. But fortunately, you can be the remedy to all of those problems with one vote. Under my platform of investing in the student, representing the student voice, and developing the student life, we can make Canisius College the thriving school we have always dreamed it to be, rich in its commitment to academic excellence, Jesuit tradition, and student leadership. In my 2 years representing the class of 2015 on the Student Senate, I strongly advocated for the interests of the general student body. While a student senator, I was asked to represent the student body on the college's long-range strategic planning committee, chaired by President John Hurley. And I was appointed to be the chair of the Public Safety Committee for the Undergraduate Student Association. As a student representative, I have voiced the concerns of the student body on topics ranging from the NFTA MetroPass program to the revised core curriculum being implemented next fall. I personally have proposed several initiatives to further the student mission here at Canisius College, including the Canisius College and Hamlin Park School Zone Plan to better protect the members of the community on the streets and roads around the college. In my work with the student government, I have penned 22 resolutions, as well as the only 3 resolutions that Senate has taken up this year, and assisted with 2 major articles of legislation. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to talk to you about how we can work together to make Canisius College the college we have always dreamed of. As you are listening, I want you to do a couple of things. First, I ask you to listen. Listen to each one of these candidates and what they have to say. Immerse yourself in our ideas. Next, you should think. Think about which candidate on this stage can best represent you and the general student body. Finally, I would like you to engage. At the end of tonight, you're going to have the ability to talk to us and ask us questions, and I highly encourage you to do so. Tonight, it is my honor to tell you about how much I love this school and how I plan to work with you to make Canisius College an elite institution once again. Thank you.